Good afternoon and welcome to the weekly recap show for MCLA Athletics. I'm your host, Dan Wohler, here with Assistant Athletic Director Jeff Player. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous, Jeff. So, big week for the Trailblazers this last week. They got another big week coming up this week with several home games. But let's go over men's soccer. So they sit atop the MASCAC right now, and they had a huge overtime win against Westfield at Westfield State.
Yeah, anytime you can win on the road, it's going to always be a difficult challenge. MCLA went on the road in a really good position, and they left in a better spot. Jesse Moore knocked home the game winner. Great goal off a long feed from Dylan Pereira, diving header for the winner. So it was a great way for them to go out with a W.
And speaking of MASCAC win, let's go over the MASCAC current standings.
Yeah, so MCLA is sitting atop the standings. They're tied at the top with Mass Maritime Academy on the heels of Jesse's goal. As I mentioned earlier, Jesse had such a great week. He was just recently named the MASCAC Player of the Week. But there's some big tests ahead for the men's soccer program. Going to begin this week with a match against Worcester State. Jesse is currently leading the team with 5 goals, and he's second in the league with 12 points. So he's off to a fantastic start, and hopefully that'll continue with some really large games looming.
And on to women's soccer. After their weekend recap, they had a 1-1 draw with Southern Vermont College, and in that game, Kaylin able to pick up another goal. Holiday scored her second collegiate goal. Yeah,
another night game at Shoecraft Field, non-league game with Southern Vermont, and it was nice to see Kaylin, get a nice feed from Natalie Caney through the defense, and being able to push one back past the keeper, quick little one touch, and then knock it in there. But we continue to struggle in some of the league games, putting the ball in the back of the net, and that'll bring us to the Westfield game.
Yeah, so of course MCLA tying in a non-conference game, and the conference games are what's important, and they were shut out 5-0 against Westfield State at home.
Yeah, Westfield's perennially one of the stronger teams in the league, and they certainly showed that on Saturday. They owned a commanding shot advantage over MCLA, but as we start to head into the final month of the regular season, there's still plenty of games to be played, and hopefully the women can turn it around.
Plenty of games to be played in the MASCAC, so we'll go over the MASCAC current standings for the women's soccer side.
Yeah, so like I said, you'll see MCLA currently with just a single point on the heels of a tie with Bridgewater State, but they got plenty of games left. Daunting task this week, traveling to first place Worcester State, and then we'll have Framingham, Fitchburg, and Mass Maritime left on the regular season schedule. So hopefully some opportunity to earn some points and climb the rankings and get into that postseason conversation.
Sure, and now on to women's tennis. They played several games over the weekend, a win and a few losses, but a really tough weekend for that program.
Yeah, the weather didn't do them any justice. They were originally supposed to play Colby Sawyer, who has not lost a conference match in 5 years. They're supposed to play them last Wednesday, got rained out due to the nature of the conference playoffs. They were forced to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, more than likely needing to win 2 of those games to get into the postseason. They lost to Colby Sawyer on Friday. They did defeat Thomas on Saturday, which basically set up a really huge match yesterday with Husson, but a match that was played indoors, unfortunately, again due to weather, up in Bennington, and unfortunately the Trailblazers came out with a tough 5-4 defeat. They had a lead early, and they just had a couple of key matches go 3 sets, and they were on the wrong side of those. So unfortunately their season comes to a close. It's a really quick season too in tennis. Right. I believe their first match was September 1st, and here we are October 3rd, and their regular season is over. So tough way for them to finish, but certainly some positive results.
And now on to women's volleyball. They went 500 on the week, so 2 wins and 2 losses for them.
Yeah, another interesting schedule, so to speak, that they had 4 games this week, none of which were in conference play. Started the week down at Anna Maria, and then continued to Regis on Thursday night. Unfortunately, they came back with a pair of losses, kind of reeling a little bit, but then they went this weekend to Mount St. Mary's for a tri-match and came away with a pair of wins. So nice to see them battle back. I believe both of those were 5-setters as well. So to come out of the week 2-2, heading into a 6-game homestand is a big thing for them.
And again, on to MASCAC play. They haven't played a conference game in a while, so we'll go over the MASCAC standings for women's volleyball, see where MCLA ranks.
Yeah, currently MCLA volleyball is only 1-1. We played 2 league games, so to speak, and we got a lot left on the calendar here, but they really won't ramp up for another another week when Framingham comes into town on a Tuesday. Worcester State still looms out there, Salem State as well, and Bridgewater to close the season. So some really important games moving forward down the stretch for MCLA volleyball.
And a player highlight for MCLA volleyball was Allison Clark. Had a fantastic weekend in that tri-match.
You know, Allison continues to rewrite the record book, so to speak, here in her brief career at MCLA. The senior was just named the MASCAC Player of the Week after setting what we believe to be a school record with 32 kills and 22 digs in a win over William Patterson. She had just a phenomenal week, averaging 18 kills, 16 and a half digs. She's been on much more of the offensive attack here over these last 4 games than she was early on in the season. But she perennially is putting up some pretty powerful offensive numbers, but she's also second in the team in dig. So she's helping out on the defensive side as well.
Sure.
And hopefully that play can continue going forward as the brunt of their schedule moves up.
Especially into the MASCAC play as well, when it's really worth all the marbles.
Correct.
And now on to men's golf and both cross-country programs to update them.
Yeah, fairly light week for golf. Golf did compete last week in the Westfield State Invitational down at Toccoa Country Club. Hot off the press, Nick Bader, another first-year golfer. We've got a lot of them on the golf program this year. Was named the NAC Rookie of the Week, which will be released later this afternoon. So another notch in the belt for them. MCLA finished 5th, I think, out of a 17-team field. So it's a nice step in the right direction. Cross country went up to Keene State this past weekend, ran the Keene State Invitational, and they had some nice performances there as they start to ramp up for championship season as well.
Right. And as busy as this week was for athletics, we've got a huge week ahead with 6 home games starting tomorrow night with women's volleyball.
Yeah, it's been a tricky calendar with a lot of road games and a lot of games just away from North Adams. But certainly women's soccer will begin that, and volleyball will begin that this week with some home tilts. Volleyball will have a 6-game homestand begin on Tuesday with a match against Sage, and then they'll continue on Thursday with a match against Keene State, and then a tri-match on Saturday with Johnson State and Wells before we head into next week when Framingham comes into town. The women's soccer program will kick off with a non-league match with Western New England Wednesday night at 5. And then we got men's soccer under the lights at Shoecraft Field in a very, very important game. We've had some really tough matches with Worcester State on the men's side in the last few years. This Friday night at Shoecraft Field should be a really great matchup.
Well, Jeff, that'll do it for this week for the weekly recap show. And Trailblazer fans, for everything Trailblazer Athletics, make sure to head to all of our social media pages as well as mclaathletics.edu. And for myself and Jeff, thanks for watching.